Nini everyone, Zabora here. So this is going to be my cultural appropriation video. I'm going to go ahead and remake it because, the last one did come off a little wrong. And I want to correct some of the information that I had stated in there. So, I do understand cultural appropriation. I do. But I think that there's a point where it can get taken too far. Anytime someone flashes around their charm bag and calls it a mojo, I can get a little triggered. It's just a little, another fucking mojo. You didn't breathe into it. You don't show that shit. You didn't name it. That's not a fucking mojo. I can get a little bit like foamy at the mouth when it comes to certain things. So I do understand that whole cultural appropriation thing. I do. But like I said, at the same time, it can be taken too far. So, when it comes to the idea of closed religions and open religions and things like that, it's just like, okay, at the end of the day, truly what you say does not affect my practice. I will continue to try to be as respectful as I can towards the original people who practice this and try to bring them honor. But these practices resonate with me. Without me changing them, them and their entirety would resonate with me. Which is why I chose the religion I chose, which is why I chose the practice I chose. They resonate with me. So when I get people coming on here telling me, are you black? Those are black gods you're worshiping. That's black magic you're doing. It's like, sure, yeah, you're right. We all fucking come from Africa, though. So, there's my argument there. Africa's the mother of fucking magic. Africa's the mother of life. My opinion. The other thing is, I may be black. I'm mostly Irish. And given my people's status during the 17 and 1800s, we freely mixed with other races that were considered second-class citizens, like the Romani people, the Gypsies, the Native Americans, the slaves, the black slaves that had been freed. My family, we fought in the Civil War, and we were close enough to the southern border that when the North came a-marching, and after we fed and clothed them and cleaned them up and everything, they burned our fucking house down, which is why we moved. So I have family lore that dates back to the Civil War that states we fought for the North, but the North burned our home down. So we were close enough to have been intermingling amongst the black community. So it's entirely possible that we did commingle with other people. Now, I do know for a fact that we have Native in us, and family lore states that it's Blackfoot Indian. Well, my grandmother always insisted that it would be the Blackfoots from Montana and Canada and that region, but there actually is another Blackfoot tribe out there, which was a mixture of Native people and black people. It's the children of natives and blacks. So all it would take was one of my Irish ancestors to be like, I like the brown skin on that one. Like I do. Like I like the shape of that one. we weren't racist, we fuck at anything. We're just horny. My family's just horny. But that's all it would take, would be one person introducing African blood into our line. So, yes, it's entirely possible I am black. Oh, you mean like my skin color? Okay, so now you're just being racist. See, like, at a certain point, you can take it too far, right? And it becomes ridiculous. Don't ever make a taco, you cultural appropriator, you. Did a Hispanic person teach you how to make the masa and cook the tortillas? Did a Hispanic person teach you what chilies go into that in order to make the beef and onion mixture for tacos? No? Then you're a fucking cultural appropriator. Don't eat at Taco Bell. See? There's a certain point where things become ridiculous, right? And that's, to me, is kind of like where cultural appropriation has been levied in the pagan community. It's to the point of stupid. Now, like I said earlier, I do understand it. I get a little triggered, when I see people do things that are outside of the tradition and they don't know any better. So, because I've seen some Wiccans, eclectics, take from hoodoo. I think even traditionalists have taken from hoodoo. Buckland has taken from hoodoo. So, when I see that, I understand cultural appropriation. I do. But me coming at you and being like, that's not a fucking mojo. Did you breathe into that? Did you carry it on your boobies? Did you put this in it? Did you put that in it? Did you burn a candle? Then it's not a fucking mojo. See, and then you get defensive and you're like, well, fuck you. So the best solution for me would not be to attack people, but would be to come out here and be like, hey, this is a mojo. This is the origins of the mojo. This is what you use. These are traditional ingredients. This is how the mojo has evolved today. That is a much better video than coming out and be like, you cultural appropriator, you! So in my opinion, there are better ways to go around than being racist. I'd also like to point out that I'm very much a either-or kind of person. This actually kind of came up in my tarot reading. It's you either are or you aren't. And that applies to me with my magic too, as well as, things like free speech. Either free speech is for everybody or it's for nobody. So if you're going to level, cultural appropriation things at me, then I want you to level them to the little black girl who's practicing Norse mythology. Oh, she's not being a cultural appropriator? Then how am I? See? It's either for everybody or it's for nobody. I actually had a neighbor. She was giving away a lot of her old stuff. She just had a bad breakup, so she was, revamping herself and her wardrobe. Great, cool, women do that. She had a beautiful, blue tank top kind of thing with frills on the end. And it had an Aztec god printed on the front. And her friend who had come over was white. And my friend was black. So, she'd given her the shirt. And the blonde said, I feel like that's a little bit more of a cultural appropriation territory, and I think you can get away with that better than I could. And I was like, motherfucker. See, this is what I'm talking about. Either it applies to everybody, or it applies to nobody. Okay? So, thank you for listening to me about my cultural appropriation rant. I hope I have clarified a few things that, some of you who saw my original video may have been questioning about, but since it was only up for a few minutes, let's see if this one gets taken down just as fast. So that's it for tonight, guys. Synaptic.